It was all, out of necessity because people didn't think that they were missing the boat on serving the needs of dietitians that worked in sports. And we really needed to be able to impact our own speaker agenda and weigh in, annually on what the hot topics were and bring the speakers to the table that could shed light on some of those paradigms, those rapidly evolving paradigms. And so that was, hey, okay, just tell us no one time. That's all we needed. We're a competitive group of people. I mean, you work around sports, you're around competitive coaches and athletes, and really, if you're going to work around sports, you better be wired to be a bit of a competitor yourself. So I don't think the key learning was that when you throw down a challenge to a bunch of competitive people, they don't bat an eye. They do not bat an eye. So be careful who you throw challenges down to, because you may just launch a ship that you didn't really want to launch. What we've managed to do is take the high achievers that got traction doing this very early in their careers and shine a light on the value stories they deliver for their organizations. And, that was just an untold story, and only people who could tell it were the ones that were living it and doing it. So until we organized their voices, and, they were willing to bring students in under their wings so they could get experience, we didn't even have a second layer of people to put out there when there were job opportunities that were ready, that really knew what they were getting into. And there were a lot of people failing prior to starting CPSDA who thought they were going to work in sports with their traditional training as a dietitian and had no idea what they were getting into, and it hit them right upside the head, and it didn't always work out. There was an obvious need, and so there was no second guessing yourself in those two cases. It didn't matter how many times or how strong or loud the no's were. There was a obvious need, and it was time to push through it. And I was just evidently wired to be that kind of risk taker. Really, there's a risk taking element to this.
Correct.
Being competitive and having a little bit of risk taking bones, where a lot of people are not wired for that at all. Not competitive and not going to take risks, and are going to cower down when they get their first or second or third no. And, I think at the end of the day, when you're helping people, in this case athletes, survive the grind that they're enduring, that really drives you. That really drives you to know you're helping people. We don't endure these hours, 12 hours a day plus 6-7 days a week, because we want to be away from our families and friends and our own lives. We endure that because we're helping these athletes in a way that they very much appreciate. It's very tangible to the organizations, and that is very rewarding. That's really what drives you. I do business on a handshake. When teams call me, I just tell them what my daily rate is, and we find a date, and they send me an airline ticket and tell me what hotel to stay in, and they either send a car or they have a car wait, whatever. Bottom line is, I make it really easy to do business with teams, and so quite often we're not going to say no to each other on the front end fighting over price or contract or something. I'm going to at least have a chance to go in and see an organization and understand what the rate limiting issues are with regard to their potential to move the needle on improving high performance fueling. And if it turns out that there's one advocate, but there's 10 that are shaking their heads no, from the CFO on down, then of course the handwriting's on the wall that they may need to brew a little bit for, incubate for a year or two or three. And I've literally had teams where I've gone in and tried to explain the value story, only to have them take a year or two before they finally took action. Recognize the value of genuine curiosity for what it is that you do. Now, when I say genuine curiosity, I mean the science of what we're doing in the fueling side of things for athletes is, the book has never been written, and it will never be written completely. It's still an evolving science. And so, I got lucky. I had a genuine curiosity for what we didn't know, because I got into it so long ago. There was so few resources that were dedicated to sports nutrition. that we really had to go glean it out of whatever sources we could find in the disease state, medical world, coaching world, you name it. It was just all over the place, but not consolidated anyway. So it was only a genuine curiosity that kept me digging and clawing that, I really didn't recognize that what the value of that was for years to come. It's only after I've been around people who got their degrees and then shut the book and thought that they knew everything and weren't really curious enough to even try to delve into and stay on top of a very rapidly evolving pool of information and coming still from a lot of different sources.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned the value of it. I didn't recognize the value of that being genuinely curious and, ultimately then passionate about what it was that I was doing. Like, I seek the truth. That's really the bottom line.